nature finds a way. Nature's like, oh no, remember that? Remember that family?
Remember that?
Never again. Never again.
Uh, yeah. And speaking of the famine, for the listeners, your body doesn't know the difference between a diet and a famine. That's why you keep bringing that up, because our body thinks it's the same thing.
Absolutely. Evolutionarily, if you think about what does your body not want to do, it does not want to starve to death. If you think about, right, yes. And so I use the word starvation and I use the word famine. And I know those are very like strong words. I use those on purpose because I cannot emphasize enough how much, yes, to your body doesn't give a shit if you are cutting calories to look cute in a bikini or if there's no food and we're all going to die. Your body doesn't know the difference.
What's up, you beautiful beasts? I'm Katie, and I'm on a mission to help people become their favorite versions of themselves and build whole human health by healing their relationship with food and movement, healing their relationship with their body, and most importantly, healing their relationship with themselves. And we are doing that without obsessing over a number on a scale. I've had the honor of talking with all kinds of incredible humans who have lived through all kinds of experiences, because that's part of being a human. Life is messy, painful, beautiful, complicated, and transformative, and sometimes all at once. I wholeheartedly believe that every time someone shares their story, somebody listening will take something from it. Maybe they'll feel seen, maybe they'll feel inspired. Maybe they'll learn something that shifts the way they see themselves, their life, their health, or what healing can look like. This podcast tells the stories of humans healing, growing, rebuilding self-trust, and unveiling their beautiful beast. Keep listening. This is the Unveiling the Beast podcast. Well, welcome to the Unveiling the Beast podcast.
Thank you.
Can you tell myself and the listeners a little bit about who you are and why you think you are who you are?
Oh, I love that. I am Paula D. Atkinson. I am a body liberation psychotherapist, body justice activist, body justice professor. And then I also am a yoga teacher and a DJ and a weirdo and a 12th house Aquarius. And why am I the way I think I am the way I am? Because I was a fat kid. And then I almost starved to death when I was 21. And then I didn't want to work with people with food issues or body issues because I knew just how insane it is to try to heal from those things in a culture that doesn't really support us in healing those things. It wants to keep us crazy and disconnected from our bodies. Mm-hmm. But then the universe in her infinite wisdom had other plans. And so I ended up doing it kind of against my will. But now I've been I don't like to say eating disorders therapist because I think a lot of us struggle with, we say in the biz, like non-diagnosable eating disorders. Like I like to say I'm a disordered eating, and I really like to say I'm a body hatred therapist because I think that is truly that I think explains it better in terms of like what we all struggle from, what we all suffer from within capitalism.
100%. Let's talk about that a little more because I'm working on a video for a Heal the Beast segment and starting I like to call it our health adventure from a place of love instead of hate, because most of the time it's like, oh, I hate my body, I'm gonna go punish myself at the gym, or I hate this about myself, and it's changing it to, well, I love myself and therefore I'm gonna love on myself by doing these things,
right?
And I'm not even gonna look at the scale, that kind of thing. So let's talk about what did you call it? Anti-body hatred or body hatred therapy?
Body hatred therapist, yeah. Or I like saying body liberation therapist because that's what I'm trying to help us all get to. But yes, I treat body hatred from a body liberation standpoint. So many words, but yes, I love that. I just think it's pretty impossible to hate yourself into a version of yourself that you love. I just don't think that works. I don't think it's ever worked. And I think that's why the diet industry is $1 billion industry because it promotes that you can hate yourself into a version of yourself you love. but it never works. And then they sell you another diet, and then they sell you another diet, and then they sell you everything else too. You know, the same company owns Jenny Craig and Duncan Hines. So they sell you all of it, y'all.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
That
They
makes a
sell,
lot of sense.
of course. So they sell you the diet, they sell you the solution, and then they sell you the problem, and then they sell you the other solution. You know, it's like
Yeah.
they don't care about your health.
Yeah. And then when you fail, it's your fault because you didn't have enough
Exactly.
discipline or willpower.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Precisely.
Mhm.
And what it does, you know, what I talk about with clients a lot is starvation is trauma to the body, and you may not feel like you're starving, but your body does, you know, and to live through a famine is trauma. And the solution to that trauma, biologically, evolutionarily, is to eat more food than your body probably wants to eat, right? But it's making up for the famine. And then, but it's still your fault. Within individualism, within capitalism, it's still your fault. So yeah, they sell you all of it.
Yeah. And it's sad too because a lot of people don't understand how the body works. Like they don't understand adaptation. We are adaptation machines. And if we are starving ourselves, our body's going to adapt to live on that amount of calories. And you could potentially like eat 1,500 calories and suddenly you're in a surplus because your body went to 1,000 calorie
survival mode.
Yeah. So, and then if that's what you tell like a trainer or a doctor, you're lying. You've got to be eating more than that.
Of course. Oh my gosh. All the time. People don't realize. I mean, I talk to all of my clients who identify as fat or who live in larger bodies all the time. Like, there is grief in recognizing that perhaps your body is bigger than it would have been had you never gone on that diet, had your mom never put you on that diet when you were 12, right?
Yeah.
And that's, you know, and isn't your body miraculous and magical that she was like, okay, great. Then I'll figure out how to survive next time, right? Like that's how magical and brilliant nature is, you know? But yeah, there are a lot of bodies that are bigger than probably they would have been had we not been in thin worship and the diet industry for over 100 years now.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit more about your story. Are you open and willing to share?
Of course.
Like, how all it came about? Okay.
Yeah. So I was just born a fat kid. I was born almost 11 pounds. I was a big girl. And I just remember being fat, but also being sort of baffled by grown-ups' obsession with my fatness. Like, I didn't understand why it was a problem. I have an essay that I wrote that is in my book that is hopefully going to get published soon. But about my grandmother who was fat, and I loved her body, and I loved falling asleep in her body, and I loved everything about her. And it was just so baffling to my little brain that there was an idea that there were good bodies and bad bodies, and that fatness was something we weren't supposed to be. It just none of it made sense. Which I love that. I love the innocence of my little pre-diet brain. And then I did start to overeat, quote unquote. Like, I put all that in quotes because what does that even mean? And I, you know, honestly, I really, really, really feel like I was not, again, I think the entire world was telling me I was eating too much, and that's why my body was the wrong shape. And I think my adaptation, to use the word you used, was to be like, oh, well, okay. I mean, actually eating a lot is very soothing, and it's, you know, you cannot be eating and not have your parasympathetic nervous system turn on. So it's actually quite soothing. So I guess I'll go ahead and do that. And then by the time I was 16, I was diagnosed obese. And that's another thing I'll put quotes around, and we can talk about that if you want, why I put quotes around it. And then I started starving myself at age 16. So I went on my first diet, and it just quickly snowballed. And then I lost a lot. Numbers don't really matter. I don't really believe in weight as a concept, but I lost a lot of weight very soon. And I was at the homecoming queen, and I got the lead in the school play. It was like, so it's like, now I look back at it, it's just so gross. But at the time I was like, I did it, you guys.
Yeah.
Right. And it was so horrifying the way it was I mean, not just like validated, but the way it was celebrated by everyone around me. And this was the 90s, right? So of course, and then it just didn't stop. Like by the time I was 21, my body was shutting down. I had to go inpatient, and I was inpatient for a year because it took that long for my body to recover from years and years of starvation and compulsive exercise. I didn't have any muscle mass. My body couldn't, I couldn't even digest solid foods. And then I was like, got out in the world, and it was like the early 2000s. So I was trying to exist. I was trying to survive. I was trying to kind of have a body liberation perspective in the midst of like the Friends era and all of the jeans, being way below a woman's belly button. It was just, it was hard to be doing that, to be recovering in the midst of all of that. And then, I became a yoga teacher, which was really good, but also all terrible because of, the yoga world and the intersection of thin supremacy and yoga. And then I went back to school and became a psychotherapist. And again, did not want to work with eating disorders at all. But I went into another field. And then whenever I heard anybody else say anything, if they were treating somebody with food issues, I would get so rageful and so unreasonably passionate about what they were saying or what they weren't saying that I was like, oh, I think I have to do this. So that's how I got there. Yeah.
Wow. I love the way you talk about, becoming prom queen and all these things and how it's just gross, because I get it. Like, you are treated completely differently.
Awful. Yeah.
It's
horrifying. It's horrifying. Yeah. And it's like you're supposed to love it. There was a part of me that did. And now, being a 50-year-old lady, I can look back and be like, that was torturous. That was abuse. That was horrendous. And I know, and there was a part of me that was so full of rage. Like, how dare all of you? Like, how am I allowed to swear on your podcast, Kitty?
Fuck yeah.
Okay, great. Like, how fucking dare all of you? Like, I'm the same person. And now I can get in touch with that. But at the time I couldn't, because, I was just supposed to be grateful that like the quarterback of the football team asked me to homecoming. Like, I was just supposed to be grateful for that.
Yeah. And, personally, I've been in both sides. I've had body dysmorphia on both sides, where I think I'm smaller and then I think I'm bigger.
Totally.
And most of my life I've been in a bigger body, and it's always, should you be eating that? Are you, all those messages. But then you shrink and it's, are you eating enough? Are you feeling okay? Are you healthy? And I'm like, dude, what do you want?
And what do you want? Yes, exactly.
But the real question is, what do I want?
Exactly. And that's, that's what my definition of body liberation is that, like, I'll speak from an I standpoint, like, me and my body are a team.
Mm-hmm.
I am loyal only to her. I am not loyal to the culture. I am not loyal to whatever the fuck is in or out, or if my thighs are supposed to touch today or not. I don't give a fuck, right? Like, my body is the only thing I'm loyal to now. And she knows what size she wants to be. She knows what size she doesn't want to be. She knows what, and that's the whole scam of diet culture, like we were just talking about, is to get us dissociated, is to get us out of our bodies, is to get us to seek external validation, external wisdom about what my body wants. But she's not ambiguous about what she wants. And she doesn't lie. She's never betrayed me once. I've betrayed her a billion times. She's never betrayed me once, right? She's not lying to me ever. It's really is. And that, this is all a part of misogyny too. Like, women they disconnect us from our bodies, they disconnect us from our rage, they disconnect us from power, they disconnect us from nature, because our bodies are nature. And then they take over and run the whole world. I don't know if anyone's noticed, but That's what they're doing.
I love the way you said that. I don't know if anyone noticed.
Right.
I don't know me. What are you talking about?
That's what my partner said. It's going great.
Yeah.
It's going great. It's not going great. Yeah.
So one of the things that stuck out in everything you were just saying is that, like, one of the things I say often is, like, our health isn't about what we weigh. It's about what we do, how we live.
Yes.
And, like, that number is going to go up and down daily.
Yeah.
When you shit, when you drink water, like any
Chinese foods? Yes,
yeah.
of course. Yes.
It's funny you say Chinese food
I love
because
Chinese food.
back in my disordered eating days, my husband and I ate Chinese food and I got so full and felt so sick. And I immediately went down to the gym and went on the elliptical for an hour with a full stomach
Oh,
to punish myself.
oh my God, Katie.
So
I can feel that in my body. Oh my God. Oh my God, that's terrible.
Oh,
Yeah.
but that's like a side story. But
Sure.
yeah, let's talk about how and why you were putting overweight and obese in quotes.
Sure. Sure. Well, I wanted to say where you said something. Oh, about health. I wanted to say, like, one thing I love to share, because I did it kind of as an experiment and then it turned out to be really cool, is like the word health. You know, it's like something that we throw around and a term that not very many people can actually define for themselves. And so I taught body justice at George Washington. I created and taught a course called Weight and Society about body justice, about the history of fat phobia, about the history of eating disorders, about the history of diet culture. And at the beginning of the class, the first day of class, I had the students write down their definition of health. Like, define it for yourself. Define, what do you think it is? And then on the last day of class, they had to do it too. And it was so fascinating to see how their definitions had changed, how the ideas about it had changed. And these are, GW is like, these are brainiac kids. These are really smart kids. And so usually at the beginning, it was a very like, BMI and blah, 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 and the numbers and the metrics and all those things. And by the end, I'm very proud to say that a lot of them are like, it's like a vibe. And I was like, yeah.
Like a vibe.
I was like, I'm from California, so I'm so proud of like coming in and been like California, all of them. But yeah, it was really great to see them be like, it's it's about an experience. It's about your experience of living. And I was like, yay, I did it. Felt very proud of that transition. But yeah, happy to. So, I don't. So these are words that we have in the culture, but they're very poor. Again, like health, they're used a lot, but they're very poorly defined. So I like overeating, I put in quotes because like, what does that mean? Right? Like what is overweight? I put in quotes because also, what does that mean? We don't say somebody is over tall. We just say somebody's tall, right? So like that, like the idea that all the bodies should be the same weight is a white supremacist idea, actually, that's born of eugenics, right? Like, there's no such thing. All the bodies, it's like saying all the trees should be the same height. It's like, nope, some trees are tall, some trees are short. It's just, right? The denial of body diversity is part of white supremacy, is part of eugenics, is part of this idea that all the bodies can and should be the same shape, which is a bizarre, insane idea born of colonialism. It's not real. And then I put obese in quotes because, like, for all those reasons, but then specifically because there is the way that we diagnose, I put that in quotes too, obesity is through the BMI, and the BMI is snake oil, is nonsense. It's not real. It's also born of eugenics, and it's just not, again, like this idea that you can, one of my favorite things to do, and when I taught my class, was to teach about the history of the BMI, and then I would ask my students, like, why do you think we square the height before we divide it by the weight? And, the children were like, I don't know. Why do we? And I'm like, there's no fucking scientific reason why you would fucking square the height. That's insane. What does that have to do with, like, whether your organs are working? Like, that's so weird. It's just snake oil. It's just totally, totally insane. But it has, like, this mathematical authority to it because it's like this round number, and but it's not real. It has nothing to do with actual health.
I'm gonna do a shameless plug right here for I have a video on YouTube about the history of BMI and why it's
Right.
bullshit.
Yay.
And just like very long, it's detailed, but very long story short, it was created by a man who was a mathematician and I can never say that word, statistician,
There you go. Yeah.
not health expert,
No,
who was studying the ideal body.
totally.
And he was because he wanted to say, this is what you have to do to have this ideal body. But he only studied white European males.
Belgian men. Yes. In the 1830s.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
And then he's like, he came up with this formula and he's like, okay, this
Mm-hmm.
is there was no diversity, none of that. No big
Nothing.
booties, you know?
Thing. There weren't even people from Asia, people from Africa, people from Antarctica, people from, yes.
Yeah. And now they use it in the healthcare system, at least in the United States, because they can charge you more.
And so they can deny people coverage. Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
Well done. Yes. Great.
I'll post that in the link. Wait,
Yeah.
I'll post the link
There you
in
go.
the show notes.
I mean, the only thing I would add that I just think adds like kind of some more irreverence around BMI is, number one, his name was Adolf, not his fault, but
Hedale.
yeah. Historically speaking, we don't trust men named Adolf. And number two, he was trying to create a whole new like area of study called social physics, which is complete nonsense. But it was this way of like, if we can find out the BMI of most criminals, then we can know who's going to be a criminal and who's not. Like, it's
so weird.
It's so weird, and it's so like white man, like it's just bullshit. It's absolute nonsense. Yes, and so that's what we use today. Even though even in the 70s, Ansel Keys is the man who brought it back kind of into the zeitgeist when he was doing a lot of stuff. And he said specifically, this should never be used for an individual measure of health. Never. Like, for huge populations, it's as good as we're going to get to study things and to study quote unquote obesity. But we should never use it for individual study. And then what do the insurance companies do? And again, it's not, the medical industry is not the one who brought it into your exam room. It's the insurance companies that did. It was never doctors that were like, we should definitely use this measurement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was so happy when they brought it up in Grey's Anatomy.
Oh, yay, good. And I put it on the print too. Yay. Yay, I know.
So, yeah.
Brilliant, good.
Let's talk about health at every size.
Okay.
And how I always feel like the odd man out, because I feel like there's like these ideas, and then there's the extremes, and then I'm like the one that questions everything, and I'm in the middle, and which is fine. I think more people should question things, because they don't. But as far as health at every size, it started as one thing, and it's been taken to another level as another thing, and then interpreted from this side as another thing. So can you go into that a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, yes, that was very broad, but you're not wrong about any of it. Yeah. So health at every size is a movement that was started by Dr. Lindo Bacon and Dr. Susie Ephramor, and it started with one paper that they wrote in 2009, I believe. And I would think so. And basically what they did is they took all of, this is like right after the height of like the obesity epidemic, and we're all going to die of fatness, right? And they took all of the studies and they took them apart. This took years of their lives, by the way. It was so great that they did this. They took them all apart, and that what they showed was that, number one, most of these studies most of them didn't have women in them. Most of them did not control for age, for economics, for race, for geography, which is actually one of the most profound predictors of health, is geography. Zip code is one of the most profound and most accurate predictors of health, which we can all look around and see that's true. Is there a grocery store in your neighborhood? Is there, right? Like these are actual predictors of health, not BMI, not weight. Weight is such a lazy, bizarre predictor of health. So they took it all apart and they showed that when you control for these things, race, age, gender, sex, geography, economics, class, etc., that there's actually zero correlation between weight and health. There's actually, and then they went on to do the next one within the health at every size umbrella. And the next study showed that if the less you focused on weight, the more actual measures of health increase. So actual measures of health are blood pressure, are blood sugar, are, I'm sure you've said this over and over, right? Like actual measures of health. When you don't focus on the number on the scale and you actually, like you just said, health is like what you do, how you exist, right? And you actually like go outside, eat a plant, right? When you actually focus on actions, not weight, actual measures of health increase, right? Get enough sleep, laugh, things that are actual measures, things that your great-great-grandmother would say you need to do to be healthy. So that's where the health at every size movement started. And then it got real dicey about like 5 or 6 years ago. And Dr. Lindo Bacon made some statements that a lot of people in the fat justice movement, and we could talk about the history of the fat justice movement too, and fat acceptance movement, they were not into some of the things that Dr. Bacon had said. And then the Association for Size Diversity and Health took over the health at every size kind of trademark. And so now it belongs to them as an organization. And they are I love them, and they are a fantastic organization. So now it's no longer in Dr. Lindo Bacon's hands. But anyway, so now it's more of a like movement, a social justice movement. It's also helpful in terms of, I have a lot of clients who are fat, who have so much medical trauma, and for them to be able to find medical professionals, mental health professionals, dietitians, and trainers and massage therapists and physical trainers who can help them and they can trust that they will go and they will not be re-traumatized because they're working with people who think that their body is the wrong shape. Is that helpful?
Oh, it is
recap?
helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that leads to my next question. How are people who are fighting against it misinterpreting what it actually is?
Yeah. So that's a great question. So this is I was on the Jillian Michaels thing. I don't know if you saw the Jubilee Surrounded video.
I heard about it. You were on it?
I was in that.
Okay, now I have to watch it.
Don't watch. Oh my God, Katie, don't watch the whole thing. It's terrible.
I used to idolize her, but that's another story for another time.
She's not a good
1,200 calories a day.
Oh,
yeah.
I mean, I think that's probably what she's also, do you know how small she is? She's like 4'11". She's so little. She's so little. I was tiny. I was like, is that her? That's like a child. So that was a terrible experience. Don't watch the whole thing. It's not good for your mental health to watch the whole thing. It's really bad. But yes, I was on that. I did that. It was really fucking weird. And she is one of the people who's like, you can't be healthy at every size. And it's like, okay, sure. In the same way that like you can't be healthy if your body is so big that you can't walk. But you also can't be healthy if you are so underweight you can't walk. Like, yes, there are extremes in everything. We're just saying that what we've been taught is healthy, which is like 10% of the actual population, who most of them had the DNA to make their bodies be thin just because of their ancestry. Most of those people are white, by the way. 100% of those people are white, by the way. We're just asking that we open it up a little bit. And we are open to the idea that people in more body shapes can be healthy, and that you can be healthy if you move the body you have right now. If you eat a plant every once in a while in the body you have right now. If you go outside with it's just about, instead of saying these are the only people that are healthy and fuck everybody else, we're saying, oh no, health is something that is attainable to all people at all ages if you just take a cute little step. And if you just listen to your body a little bit, again, if you listen to your body probably wants to eat a plant every once in a while. Probably wants some water. Probably wants to go for a walk. Yeah. Right? Like to make it less of this like moral thing and more in a way that we, judge people characteristically, and more of a like all the bodies can be healthy and it's not as hard as you're making it. And it's also not a moral imperative that like also if people don't want to be healthy, they don't have to be. Because like who the fuck am I to say everybody should be healthy?
Body autonomy.
Exactly. So that's so yes. But health at every size, I guess, is not possible. Whatever. Jesus. It's like so literal, you know what I mean? But like that health is attainable to far more people. And honestly, I think the people that are fighting against it are the people who don't want to hear that like 90% of health is economics. All this health shit is actually like it's all about classism. It's all about the ruling class. It's all about this idea. Yeah. That and no, people can't be healthy if there are no vegetables to buy in there, And this was my whole thing. I would get so ragingly angry during the COVID epidemic when people were like, fat people are going to die of COVID more. And it's like, no, poor people are going to die of COVID more. You just don't want to acknowledge the culture doesn't want to acknowledge institutionalized poverty. And so they're going to say that it's fat people who are going to die of COVID more, but it's not. It's about classism. It's about, were any of us afraid that Tom Hanks was going to die of COVID? No, none of us were afraid that Tom Hanks was going to die of COVID because he's rich. He's not going to die of COVID, But we don't want to look at institutionalized poverty. So we talk about fatness instead.
Yeah. I think too, the misinterpretation is all fat people are healthy.
Oh, I mean, no, but not all fat people are healthy.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's the sizing you up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You want to be, people with that limited viewpoints want to be able to characterize and categorize a human, right? And people who are very invested in categorizing humans based on body shape, age, race, fatness, thinness, all of those things, you're never going to talk them out of it. So great. Go enjoy your life it's Sonia Renee Taylor's book, The Body is Not an Apology, right? She so beautifully illustrates the hierarchies of humans, right? And that we've been doing this for centuries now of putting people in these hierarchies, right? And the top of the ladder is the white, straight, cis man. And the rest of us are below it somewhere, right? And so people who want to participate in that are just going to participate in that no matter what. So, and those are the ones who are like, you can't tell fat people they're healthy. Like, okay, why not? Like, I think we can. I think it's okay.
Yeah. I want to do the same thing we just did, but with the body positivity movement, because while they do kind of work together, they are two different things.
Yeah.
So what would you say what it is and what the misinterpretation is and why people are fighting against it?
Yeah. I think this is what kind of bummed me out about the Jillian Michaels thing, is that we were all labeled as like body positive activists, and which I don't, or body positive experts or something. I mean, sure, you can call me that. That's fine. I don't really love the body positivity movement. It just feels so small compared to what I want, which is body liberation, which is like for everyone to feel. My ideal world is that all the bodies are allowed to exist as they exist in this moment, which is much broader than like everybody's allowed to feel positively about their bodies,
Yeah.
And also like I love the way Virgie Tovar talks about it, who's a great person to follow, that like body positivity doesn't really have a social justice goal other than everyone's allowed to look cute or something, right? Like, and so it's great. It just feels like a very watered down version of what I feel like the fat acceptance movement, the body justice movement, the body liberation, the fat liberation movements are about like, fuck your bias, basically. And the body positivity and also you can tell that the body positivity movement is not really that radical because it got co-opted by capitalism. So whenever something is marketable, it's probably not that revolutionary. Something a lot, So like the fact that it was in commercial, they're doing Old Navy commercials means that, even though I love 80 Bryan and I love that Old Navy commercial, means that it's probably not that revolutionary, because if it can be marketed, it's probably not a revolution, but also like it's again, like it comes from the fat acceptance movement is from the 1960s. It was from the civil rights movement. It's from New York. It's from like this really cool underground movement of like fat liberation. And then it kind of went underground even more in the 80s in the like Jane Fonda workout era. And then obviously in the 90s and the early 2000s, Lord have mercy. And then it kind of came back up, but it got really watered down in this body positivity, which was sort of co-opted by whiteness and co-opted by like, there was a lot of like young white women with jiggly thighs. And it was like, this is, so revolutionary. And it's like, but it's not, but it's better than, than like the diet worship of like stuff that we grew up in, obviously.
Yeah.
So it's not bad. It's just kind of like, it's so small compared to what we, I will put myself in the category of like a fat liberation activist, like what we want, which is that all the bodies are allowed to exist, that nobody has to change their body. Nobody has to change their body shape in order to earn respect, in order to earn validation, in order to earn acceptance.
Mm-hmm. That sparked a thought, which I think the last discussion I want to have with you is the internet.
Oh,
but I'll start with this example. Somebody I know like a year ago posted a picture from, I think it was the 60s or 70s, of people on a beach. They were all white and they were all thin.
Sure.
And her caption was something like, "Look what big food has done. Why can't we go back to this?" And I'm like, first of all, use your fucking brain. Put this picture into Google. You'll see it's actually from a commercial. Of course. But like things like that where people see something and they get so enraged and hyped up, but they don't look it up. And they don't talk about that.
I love this because there is a real bizarre idea. And I talked about this when I taught my class, that like fat people didn't exist before. But it's like, oh no, fat people have always existed. One of the ways I know this, and one of the ways when I taught my class, I would talk about like, there is no language in the history of humans that doesn't have a word for fat, which means that fat people have always existed. If they didn't exist, they wouldn't need a word for it, right?
Exactly, yeah.
And you can't trust, I talk about this a lot too, that like the only people that had cameras were rich white people. The only people that got their paintings painted, even though there was Rubenesque times and all that stuff, were rich white people. Like, you can't trust just because there's not a lot of pictures of fat people from 200 years ago. Well, there were not a lot of pictures of anybody from 200 years ago. But fat bodies have always existed. Fatness has always existed. The idea that everybody was thin in the 60s, no, that's not true. What I talk about in my class is like, yes, there are, like statistically speaking, there are more larger bodies now than there were 100 years ago. There's also more tall people now. People are so taller right now, and nobody thinks we're all going to die of tallness. But it's
right.
That has to do with capitalism. It doesn't have to do with. I mean, yes, I think there is a small part of it that has to do with the fact that a lot of our food is made by machines, and that our food has a lot of plastic, and we're all of our bodies are full of microplastic. Sure, that's a lot of it. I personally think it's because we've started dieting. I think it's because people epigenetically.
That was a mic drop. It was a pen, but it was a mic drop.
Right. Like, what they know epigenetically about the trauma of starvation is that it will affect generations and generations and generations, right? The people who are the descendants of people who lived through the Holocaust have a huge percentage of eating disorders, are hugely more there. It affects the trauma of starvation, which we in our culture call dieting, is so profoundly bad for all of your body, for all of your brain, and it affects your offspring. So I believe very strongly that if people never went on diet, that people never deliberately starved themselves, then bodies probably wouldn't have to adapt to their own starvation and the starvation of their ancestors, the starvation of their grandmother, right? Because how many I talk to clients all the time. Oh my, I never saw my grandma eat dinner, not once, right? It's like that has an impact on your offspring.
Yeah.
So all of these things that we say are because people are too lazy or just because they're eating too much McDonald's. I mean, again, I am a all foods gal. I am a food neutrality girl. I also think that I don't trust corporations to give us food that our body actually wants to be eating all the time. And
Right.
I thought those things can exist at the same time.
Yeah. I'm going to do another shameless plug.
Please.
Beautiful Beasts, go watch. I'll put the links in the show notes. Go watch The Real Causes of Obesity.
Yeah.
And Set Point Weight Theory.
Yes. Exactly. And that has there were of all the huge populations in which there are famines that we know of, like the Irish, like obviously the people who lived through the Holocaust, like things like that. Like there are known markers in the descendants of the people who survived those things, who and it is eating disorders, and their bodies tend to be bigger than their ancestors. Nature finds a way. Nature's like, oh no, remember that family?
Remember that?
Never again. Never again.
Yeah. And speaking of the famine, for the listeners, your body doesn't know the difference between a diet and a famine. That's why you keep bringing that up, because our body thinks it's the same thing.
Absolutely. Evolutionarily, if you think about what does your body not want to do, it does not want to starve to death. If you think about, right, yes. And so I use the word starvation and I use the word famine, and I know those are very strong words. I use those on purpose because I cannot emphasize enough how much, yes, to your body doesn't give a shit if you are cutting calories to look cute in a bikini or if there's no food and we're all going to die. Your body doesn't know the difference.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see it. I talk about it all the time because a lot of my clients will be like, I adopted a dog a long time ago that was, came from a horrible situation. And that dog never, if I let that dog eat itself to death, it would have. And I was like, yeah, bitch. Just like you. Just like all of us. That's all of us. That dog is all of us. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Where can people find you?
You can find me. I am Paula D. Atkinson. So Paula D as in David Atkinson on all of the things. I'm on Instagram. You can come to my website where you can see if I'm doing other things. I'm trying to get my book published, which has been a long and sordid adventure. But come find me on Instagram mostly. I do. I had a podcast where we just decided to shut it down. We felt like we did everything we needed to do with it. But if you want to listen to some old episodes, my colleague Lisa, who's really brilliant, and I did a podcast called What If Nothing's Wrong With You that talks about how psychotherapy a lot of times colludes with the very systems that create most of our suffering, like capitalism and white supremacy and so much misogyny in psychotherapy. Mm-hmm. So, if you want to know more about the idea that probably nothing's wrong with you and you're doing just fine, you can listen to my podcast, What If Nothing's Wrong With You?
Awesome. I have one more question for you.
Okay.
And that is, if the entire world stopped what they were doing and looked at you in the face, no pressure, and said, Paula, please give me some advice. What would you say?
I love this question. And I would say something that I'll give a little bit of context. My mom and I were both yoga teachers, and she and I had the same teacher who was this magical goddess named Rama. And she would say this, and so I would say this to you. Listen to your body. All of the answers are in your body. Your body has never lied to you. Your body has never betrayed you. Your body is infinitely on your side. Infinitely on your side. It doesn't even have the capability to not be on your side. All of the answers to all of your problems, to every question you have in your mind, it's in your body.
Beautiful beasts, Paula D. Atkinson signing off. Until next time.